Hi guys, it's Farah. So, back to the journey. For some of you guys who don't know me, again, my name is Farah. I am a business owner. Okay, I am an African American. I am in the United States, and my goal in my dream for many, many years is to go to Africa, right? That was just my dream, just to go to Africa, just to go to Africa, right? Because that's the motherland and everybody wants to go back there. But, you know, it has been one of those dreams that's been kind of finessed. Yes, that's true. A lot of African Americans don't like leaving the United States, right? I don't think they don't like leaving the United States. I think it's more of a fear. It's a fear because you realize, hey, unless you're that 1% that has, friends back there, family back there, maybe you have family members that maybe married into the African kind of, community, or maybe you've traveled there before, I don't know, study abroad, I don't know, one of those things, so you're that 1% that maybe, gotten out. But then the other percent of African Americans that are in the United States, some of them, a lot of them, probably have never traveled outside of the country. So then you're traveling to a country in which, here, to be honest with you, here in America, they teach the worst part of Africa. Like when I was coming up, the things that I've found on my own research through Africa, thank God for YouTube bringing it out, because before YouTube, it was drama and mess and a bunch of lies. So now that we have YouTube, we have it to be, more accessible about the information about Africa. But unfortunately, YouTube was more like popular in the 2000s when it kind of branched out. So everything before that was like, false information, bad information, terrible information. I'm a witness, okay? I'm telling you from my own words. I went to school here in America, and unfortunately, the information that was shared about Africa is that it's a jungle with trees and people have no brains. That's what it is. That's what we're told. That's what's in the books. And in one of the books when I was going to school, when it described Africa, it literally said on there, and I kid you not, it was like on an exam, a test, and it said, when you describe Africa, you had to choose like a multiple choice. So the answer was little to no civilization. So there you go. So we're not going to go in depth for that. I'll just give you my own statement as a witness of what they teach in the schools there. There's totally not no fairness into that. So there is a sense of fear. Because then whenever they do highlight Africa, it's always about the civil wars and how they're killing their own citizens and how the corrupt the government is and all yada, yada, yada. As far as in Africa as a continent, so they have all these countries in Africa. And so, but one country in Africa can really damage the whole continent of Africa if it's going through that type of turmoil, civil wars, government, corruption, etc., because they're going to highlight that. And people do tend to think Africa as a country versus Africa as a continent full of countries. Big difference, because that means this country doesn't affect that country, not per se. But, honestly, until you get to that realm of knowledge and start kind of like being able to access that information, thank God for YouTube again, for having those videos and being able to see what it really is like to be in Africa and what Africa really is. That kind of help open a lot of people's mind. So with that being said, I have two agendas on my actual blog that I'm going to be blogging about. Being African American, going back to Africa for the very first time. Honestly, I can honestly say I've been everywhere in the United States. Now, this is going to kid you out. But I technically have not been out of the country. Cruises don't count. So, I have not been out of the country. And again, cruises don't count. Okay? So I'm you that are watching who are saying, you know what, I've been wanting to do this. I have no idea how to do this. I don't know how to go about this. How do you do something when you don't know how to adapt to something, or you're not sure how to adapt to how you go along the process? Being someone who never been outside the country, you have no idea what to expect. Everything's completely different. America's completely different. Iran completely different. We have the corruption, the lies, and different comforts all at the same time. However, it's a good thing to realize that, hey, I might need to start researching different countries in Africa, like I did. start looking at different countries in Africa. Start getting on YouTube, just kind of jumping from one to another. And seeing those videos and getting the insight will open up your mind even more so. Secondly, now that you watch the videos, you're probably saying, okay, I watched the videos. I see all this. I know that Africa has a lot more to offer than what people paint it to be. So how do I physically start this journey? Well, that's basically how my videos are going to go. I'm literally going to take you along with me as I go through a step-by-step process. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say, hey, you're coming along with me. I'm packing my things. This is who I'm using. You're going to see me ship my stuff off. You're going to see who and how am I connecting to people in Africa, being that I'm not from Africa and I don't have a family in Africa per se. Now, you're going to see how I'm going to start just randomly reaching out to people. I know it's probably not good. But yeah, you can start randomly reaching out to people. You have people here in the United States that are African. Now, if you live in a city, there's not a lot of Africans there. I'm pretty sure there's probably some Africans there that probably just you probably can't recognize them, because Africans tend to come to the United States and a lot of them blend in very, very well with the regular African Americans here. And then after a while, some of them don't even have a very strong accent, so you can't even tell that they're African until you just listen to them for a very long time. You can slightly catch it and be like, hey, are you from Africa? And they might say yes. And a lot of times you might ask an African here if they're from Africa, and they will say, oh no, I'm from Chicago. I'm from New York. You'd be like, you know, and then you have to say, okay, where were you from? Where were you born at? Then some of them were like, okay, yeah, I was born in Africa, you know, because even when they come here. So I would definitely try to find some Africans here, kind of start picking their brains. Try to, if you can, you know, try to pick their brains, you know, ask them questions, you know, get in touch, maybe become friends with them. Maybe they can help point you in the right direction with some of the people that they know back in Africa. If you become really good friends, that's also a way. Now you actually met someone that you kind of develop a nice credibility to it. Now I'm not saying meet friends and then start buying everything in Africa while you're in the United States. Now, I'm not saying that. No, we're not saying that. I'm saying meet people whom you can trust that maybe can put you in contact with locals there. When you fly there, they can probably show you around. Or, you know, in advance, you know, you're going to reach out to tours. Yeah, you can reach out to tours and schedule tours with companies that are in those countries that are in Africa. But, you know, tours are great, but sometimes you want a local to really show you the ins and outs. So that's one thing. Then you said, okay, for those of you trying to say, okay, I'm trying to move back, how do I, you know, start, you know, navigating? Most of your navigation should be probably done when you hit the land, truthfully be told, just so you won't be scammed. If you're not going to do it the way I just mentioned. So when you get in town, I would advise doing that. But I'm going to go through the journey, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing it, which what I'm doing is basically what I've just said. I'm reaching out to locals here. I developed some friendships here. You know, they're putting me in touch via Facebook. Hey guys, Africa has access to Facebook too. So I know there's a lot of people who probably didn't even know that, but yeah, Africa has access to Facebook too. So you can actually start talking to locals who are in a certain country in Africa, because parts of Africa have access to Facebook too. A lot of people have access to Facebook in Africa, and they can start talking to you video chat. You know, maybe they can, when they go out, they can actually show you around through video track, so you can kind of get mentally prepared for what you actually going to be with, and actually start developing maybe a friendship. You know, I'm not saying a sex ship, but I said friendship. So that's one way to give you that comfort, because I know how it is. Like you're afraid, you don't know anybody, you're going to go somewhere where you don't know anybody. There's not someone you can call when you feel like you're getting lost or something like that. Because the main thing is the fear of getting lost, and the major thing is knowing that, hey, here in America, we have a comfort zone where if something breaks out, we can call the police, we can report it. We have these branches in government that are set aside to actually protect us. Yes, there's racism here, and yes, it's not always great, but you get something better than nothing, versus going to a country where the government might not even help you or back you, or the laws are, you know, very limited. There's a lot of corruption in the government. There's some places where, they kind of uphold their laws, and it's not always like that everywhere. But again, even though they might uphold their laws, their government is not going to work as much as how the, government here works, because they're two different countries. So don't expect that type of, setup. Understand that that's a whole new country. Don't get frustrated and say, you know what, here in America, we can just call here. And here in America, we can just report it here. And it is that, and then just understand that there's a different country and they run different. So don't take the American mindset of how the politics and the legal aspects of things are run here, how the things are run here, to Africa. Just try to understand that before you go, because that will alleviate a lot of your frustrations. And when you get there, you should understand that you're going to be responsible for your own security. That's why having locals and making those connections ahead of time can possibly help out. And then when you get there, ask around. A lot of times people think that the African countries or people in those African countries will not help out or reach out to you. Most of them will. Honestly, there's people say, oh, Africans don't like African Americans or yada, yada, yada. I don't find it to be true. What I do find is that, because I've been talking to people in Africa, and they're most definitely very, very helpful. Yes, you're going to have people who love you, and you're going to have people that hate you. You got that in the United States, so what's the difference? For the most part, a lot of people are going to reach out and try to be like, hey, I'm happy to see you back home, and yada, yada, yada. But you're already going to have a few that are going to be like, oh, okay, you're back home, so what? So just expect that. Don't expect everything to be gravy boat with every single person that you meet. Research the country that you're going to. What type of language they speak? Do they speak English? How much of they speak English? They don't. How much of they do? Understand the currency there. Usually with American dollars, when you go to certain countries in Africa, it tends to be very cheap there when you bring your American dollars. So you shouldn't have that much trouble. But also, you should know that it's cheaper in Africa than in America because of that. So you don't need $1 million American dollars to go there. You don't need 500,000 to go there. You don't need $200,000 to go to Africa. You don't even need $100,000 to go to Africa. Now, I'm not going to excuse you if you want to take $50,000, but just know $50,000 US dollars is a hell of a lot of money to the northern countries of Africa, because the currency is a lot different and a lot lower compared to the American dollars. So don't be thinking that you need to have everything perfect to go to Africa. You just need to have a game plan, some money saved up. You don't need to have your whole life savings up, but you do have some money saved up to kind of get your feet wet and get started without, having to depend on money to come in right away. So the second thing with my agenda is that being a business owner, I am actually bringing my business into Africa. I own a call center. Yes, I've done TV. Yes, I've done radio. Even with doing all those things, I still feel like when I get there that, hey, I understand the government might not back me because I'm not as big as Oprah. So I don't expect certain privileges like Oprah. and I don't expect to get there and think that everybody's going to know me and I'm going to get this privilege. I don't think that way, so I'm not even expecting that. But I do know that bringing a business into certain countries in Africa, you have to go through the government, especially what I'm doing. So the call center, I'm going to need certain type of permits. I'm going to need to lease some property there to open into offices where I can actually hire locals there. I'm going to be doing a lot more research because the locals will need to speak English. So I have to do research on my countries that do speak English there and go from there. I've already reached out to certain governments in Africa. I pretty much know what countries I'm going to tap into Africa, and let alone the cities. That's already set in place. The ball has been rolling, and I'm already invested. So I just want to tell you now, because that's a spoiler, and that's coming later in the next video. So those of you who want to bring business in Africa, who are wondering, okay, I hear all these things that people are saying is a great opportunity, but what are the steps? Who do I contact? Who do I contact? What did I say to them? What did I turn into them? What's the cost of certain permits? What's the cost of this? You want the actual contacts. For instance, you want the actual name and contact of the real estate agent that's responsible for leasing out certain offices. You want the actual name and contact of the government person who you need to go through to get permits, to get certain type of approvals to come into the country with certain type of businesses or maybe even products. That's what you want. That's what I'm going to bring you, because that's the legwork that's missing when you research about countries. Now that you feel comfortable, now you're saying, okay, how do I get in touch with the people? And how do I start this process? I'm going to show you how I am shipping certain things that I do need. I'm not going to ship everything because I'm going with minimum. Okay, I'm going with minimum. I'm just going to ship the actual necessary thing that I know that I can't get there, that I must need for my business. And I'm hoping to minimize that as much as I can. But I'm going to show you what that looks like, what custom fees looks like, what all that looks like, because you could be a entrepreneur, a business owner who have never left the country, and now you want to do something very, very brand new. So I am going to walk you through that step by step, and that's where I'm going to take you. So stay tuned for the next video, and I can't wait to do this amazing journey, and I'm going to wish all you guys still the best. I'm hoping to bring something that will help infiltrate different countries in Africa. There's things I'm going to be looking for as far as an internet speed, electricity. I know that some have generators, some have wired electricity. I'm hoping to do this in a place that's not commonly known for call centers in Africa. So maybe a country that's not commonly known for having call centers there. So that can be something new, groundbreaking, that can actually impact the community. Because I just don't want to go there and feel like I'm just taking. I want to actually bring something that can actually help bring the light more to Africa. They do this in India. They do this in India, China, everywhere else. So I feel like, okay, people are bringing certain things there, but they're not bringing a lot of jobs there. So if you teach a man to fish, he can always fish and survive. All right, so stay tuned for our next video. This is going to be exciting. And if you have any comments or maybe you want to give me pointers, hey, inbox me. Leave a comment. Drop something below. I'd be happy to hear. Thanks. See you soon.